everyone, and welcome to Long's Toys. We'll be taking a look at Keith from the Voltron Legendary Defender line of figures. These are made by Playmates Toys, the same people that make the TMNT action figures. And they've done a pretty excellent job so far with the kind of deluxe transforming lions that form Voltron. So I've decided to pick up a few of these figures. Now, the first wave, I believe, was these two Voltron action figures, the 5 lions, and then this Myzax Robeast. The Myzax Robeast was the only one I decided to pick up. Since I had the deluxe lions, I really didn't feel the need for any of these. But the second wave here has a new version of Voltron with a cannon on his shoulder, and then we have the 5 Voltron Paladins. Now, as far as I can tell, only Lance, I think Keith, and Shiro have been released. Pigeon Hunk are part of like either a refresh case later on or a second, third wave technically. I don't know of anyone that's found these two, but I found Keith is the only one I've been able to find. But I believe Lance and Shiro have also been found. Obviously, I'd eventually like to find all 5 if I could. Pilot Red Lion, Baynard, that's what it's called, Baynard weapon, Red Sword, Nobody Tells Me How to Fly, nobody. And it's kind of funny because now Keith is the pilot, well, I should say, spoilers if you haven't seen the show, but he's the pilot of the Black Lion now. But he still uses, I think he still uses the red Baynard, or he might have switched to the black one. I don't remember. An orphan, Keith is driven by an insatiable curiosity of where he came from, which sometimes conflicts with the goals of the team. The most talented pilot of his generation, Keith refuses to live by other people's rules and instead carves out his own path. So there you go. Keith's the rebel. He's the bad boy. Figure looks pretty decent. Doesn't look exactly like the, figure in the anime or the cartoon, but pretty cool. You can see he comes with a host of accessories. Let's go ahead. We'll get him out of the packaging and we'll take a closer look. So here's Keith out of the packaging. I don't know. I can't decide how I feel about this guy. He has a little trouble holding the accessories, which is kind of a problem. You can take a look here at the Baynard, if I can get this guy to stand. It's decently detailed. The red paint, the blue paint, the gunmetal gray coloring. It's a little bent from being in the packaging because it's a little bit kind of thin, flimsy plastic. But ultimately, it's not bad. The shield is very basic, just molded in this kind of clear, translucent light blue color. I don't really know why it has a hole for a shield. I feel like you could shoot right through the hole and hit the guy holding it and he'd drop it, but that's just me. Like I said, it's a little difficult to get him to hold the shield, but he can do it, obviously, and the same with the Baynard. I feel like the Baynard's harder to get it in his hand, but it can be done. You just kind of have to bend the fingers back or bend the thumb, whichever you choose. But once you get it in, he holds it very tightly, which is nice. Getting into the figure itself, like I said, that face sculpt it's okay. It's not the best. It's just, I guess they did what they could. The hair looks alright. Head can move from side to side. Typical kind of TMNT joints for the shoulders, but it's a little hindered because of the shoulder armor. But it can spin all the way around. Shoulder joint can spin from side to side and then 90 degrees. Now, you also have wrist movement, which is nice. Mine has this kind of red discoloring. And I don't know if there's something underneath the white that's like if it's red inside and this is all like a red assembly and the red is just kind of shining through the white plastic because it's kind of thin, then there's nothing I can do about that. And I kind of think that is what it is, but it could just be some of the paint bled through. But I kind of feel like, why would it blend through 360? I kind of feel like it's a red piece of plastic underneath the white that's just kind of shining through. So I don't think there's anything I can do about it. Plus, it's on both sides. So I kind of feel like there's nothing I can do about that. The silver paint around the waist is pretty good. The hip joints are a little strange. They're not terrible, but it can make them look kind of bow-legged and weird. But it's the same kind of like up and down joint and also spin around. I don't know. They just kind of feel not so much like part of his body as much as it's like, it's very obvious these were separate pieces that they jammed in there, and it just kind of doesn't flow cohesively, but it's not terrible. 90-degree bend at the knee, and then there's nothing. Oh, they can spin as well. They can spin from side to side. Nothing in the ankles. So if you can just find a pose that you like, you know, you can get them to stand. Just balance out the weight. And then the helmet, it's not bad. It's definitely a softer plastic because they have to kind of get it to fit over the head. And I have to say, it doesn't look bad. The helmet's not terrible. I think they did a pretty decent job with that. I think I can't tell if the red is painted on the white or if the white is painted on the red. Or if it might all just be painted on the blue, actually, now that I think about it. If we look in the inside, yeah, I think it's all just painted on the blue. So you can see it bleeding through a little bit, and it kind of makes the paint look a little bad on the helmet. Not terrible, but you can, especially like around here, you can kind of see it bleeding. And it's just a little smudgy. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. Now, again, this might just be mine. You know what I mean? They make a bunch of these things, and some of them just have worse paint jobs than others. This is literally the only one I could find. They had one Keith and nothing else, so I decided to pounce on it because I had been looking for these figures for a while. And overall, I think it's decent, especially for the fact that these things are like $8 to $10, depending on where you find them. I think I found this one at Target and it was $9.99, but some places, Walmart might have them as $9.99 or $8.99, so they're probably $9 or $10. But they're decent. They're a little small, definitely smaller than like a normal TMNT figure. I have Bebop right here for size comparison. So I think the TMNT figures are a little bigger, certainly wider, but these guys probably have more paint apps when you think about it, because there's a lot of white, silver, black, obviously the red for whatever color paladin it is. So it's nice. The only things I would really complain about, the smudgy paint on the soft plastic helmet, and the fact that it's difficult to get the weapons into the hands of the paladins, and also whatever's going on with the wrists. Like I said, if it's a red piece of plastic underneath white and it's just bleeding through and there's nothing they could do about it, it's a bummer, but I get it. I don't really think it's a paint smudge. I don't think, like, if I tried I could wash it off. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I will see if I can, you know, use a little Goo Gone or something. See, I think it just really feels like it's thin plastic, and I feel like it's just a red piece underneath. Like, it's probably this whole section is red, and then they painted the hands and a little bit of white. But again, the red paint's kind of smudging there as well, so I don't know. But overall, I would say he's alright. He's not super wowing me, but I'm also not disappointed. I think as far as getting the rest of them, it's going to have to be how they look in hand when I actually find them in a store. If this is just like, you know, I got a bum Keith that has a couple paint smudges, then that's just luck of the draw. If the next ones I find are really sharp and, you know, I don't have these same kind of problems, you know, it could just be a one quality control slips through. It happens. I mean, that happens with every toy line. So I'm hoping it's just something like that. But like I said, overall, it's a decent representation of Keith. Not super expensive. And I think for what you pay, you get a lot of accessories and you get a lot of paint apps, which is really nice. And a lot of points of articulation as well. So I don't want to steer anyone away from these because I do think it's a decent figure. It just has a couple QC issues, but again, I'm hoping that's just mine. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you guys found these, do you have kind of similar QC issues? Is it just mine? If you have these figures and yours are really nice, let me know in the comments below because I'd like to know. So let me know what you think. Please like and share the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you guys have enjoyed this look at Keith from the Voltron Legendary Defender figure line. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.